Hey everybody, it's your pal Jared here with Heat Press Nation, and yeah, thank you so much for joining me for another MyExpert Live Training Webinar. We're gonna have lots of fun today. I'm gonna be showing you something really cool, which is how to create a seamless pattern in Photoshop. Basically, you have a pattern, and if you cut it right in the middle and you try to stack it together, not all patterns are seamless. You need one end to flow right into the other. And so I'm sure if you're watching this because you're interested, you want to create your own seamless pattern in Photoshop. So that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do today. So to get started, we're going to create our workspace. We're going to go ahead and click on Create New. And you can see this is my most recent. I'm at 4,000 by 4,000 pixels at 300 DPI, or my resolution is at 300 pixels per inch. This is pretty big. It is. I like working with high resolution stuff. I guess you, in theory, could go as low as, like, if you're doing this for web exclusively, you could go down to like 1,000 by 1,000 at 72 DPI. If this is a web thing that you're doing, I always design for print because you could scale down later. So anyway, so this is 4,000 by 4,000. Everything else you can pause it if you want. If you're watching the replay, don't do inches. Make sure it's pixels. Resolution at 300. I mean, RGB background is white, and I don't really mess with advanced options. I usually hide those. So we're going to create, and then we have a blank space. So there's a few things that I do before I get started. The first thing is, so it's going to start with a background. I'm going to unlock by clicking this, and you see it over here on the right, this unlock icon. And I do that so that way when I go to view, I can create a new guide from shape. All that's going to do is going to create guidelines on the outer edge of this, and then you could lock this back up if you want by clicking that little lock icon, and that's it. That's where we're going to get started. Okay, so let's go over here. Here we go. So this is my file. You can see I have my webinar stuff here, and Camp Cooler. Oh yeah, I did that webinar not too long ago, but we're going to our seamless pattern webinar, and you can see I already have my sample. And so I'm going to start with icons. So here, and I'm going to show you guys large icons. So you can see these are all the little icons. And what's cool about this, so let's say you go to Shutterstock or you go to wherever you're going and you download an icon pack. And you have all of these individual little icons. Now you want to turn them into a pattern. They may not come as a seamless pattern, but you could turn them into a pattern. Another thing you can do is if you have your own graphic elements, maybe you've already designed a certain amount of icons, or you have this art set here, you can turn them into a seamless pattern and offer that for sale as well. So I'm actually going to go back to the list because I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to add them one by one. So here, starting off with this American flag, I'm just going to drag it in to Photoshop. And I like that size. I'm going to click OK. And this is a PNG, so it has like no background. Anyways, I have my American flag here. And so what I'm going to do is, this is it. This is the money right here. We're going to go to filter. We're going to go all the way down to other, and we're going to go to offset. So again, we're going to go to filter, other, offset. Click on that, and I'm going to set these to 0, right? Now in your offset tool, you want it set to wrap around. You don't want these other two. You want it to wrap around. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set my corner piece. Okay. So what offset does is if you type in 50, it's going to offset your image 50 pixels to the right. If I go negative 500, on the vertical, which is the Y, it's going to offset my image 500 pixels up. So if it's pixels down, that's positive 500. Negative obviously would be pixels up. And of course, if you want it to go left instead of right, you just put negative. Anyway, so here it is. All right. And if you don't really feel like doing the math, all you do is you just kind of drag it over. And so here's why offset is so special, is because when you drag it past the edge on the right, it's going to come out on the left. It's going to wrap it on the left. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the corner. So the first thing I always do when setting up my seamless pattern is I'll establish my corner piece. And I know that because this is a 4,000 by 4,000 inch canvas, or sorry, pixel canvas, if I just type in 2,000, 2,000, it'll perfectly distribute it on the corner. You click OK, it's going to render it. Now, sometimes, and I'll zoom in here so you can see what I mean. Sometimes the graphic will extend past the edge, and I haven't figured out why it does that. You want it right on the edge, so keep an eye out for that. The only thing I found that works is re-importing it. So I'm just going to delete this. I'm going to do it again, and I'm actually glad that happened. So the problem with that is, and it'll give me a chance to do something else. So another thing that I do is I usually don't, especially if it's a square image like this, I don't leave it. I like to let's make it a little bigger. I like to, like, you want to give it a sense of randomness. You don't want people to see the seam. All right, you don't want people to see the seam where you stack them. It's like, oh, it looks kind of robotic, like a grid. So what I'll do is I will like rotate things and I'll twist them and stuff, resize them, make sure things are a different size. We have small icons, we have large icons. So that way, the eye, it's going to be hard to naturally find the seam. And to me, that's what makes a seamless pattern really, really top quality. So anyways, so you can see I've kind of off-centered it. And then now what I'm going to do is filter offset. And again, this is the part that I have not totally figured out, is why the offset does not always. There it is. Okay. So now you see how it's perfectly within the edges. What you don't want is what I was having right now. Okay, fine, don't show that again. Okay. So this is a smart filter. It's adjusting the offset. What you don't want is for it to extend past the edge. So you want it to be within these boundaries. Okay. So that happens. I'm not 100% sure why, but it does. And so anyways, now we can move on to our next icon. And now that I've established my corners, I want overflow on each side, on both the y-axis and the x-axis. So I'm just going to rasterize this layer. It might just be that I'm applying a smart filter onto a smart object. Let's try this again. There we go. There we go. And so basically you want this to be within the bounds of what you're working with. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of scoot this over a little bit. Time for the next icon. Okay, and you only really need to do the offset on a few things. So I'm going to resize that. Actually, I don't want the baseball bat to be that big. I want it to be small. And I'm going to rasterize it just so that way it doesn't mess with this. So filter, we're going to go back to our offset filter. And I want this to be, where are we at? There we go. I kind of want it just sticking out right there. Just a little bit more. Okay, so now, and there we go. See, it lined up perfectly. Thank God. Okay. Okay, so now that we have our corners and edges, now it's time to fill in the center. And this one's going to go a lot more quickly. So with basketball, we're just going to kind of scatter things throughout. You don't have to worry about using the offset for every last thing. Some icons, if it's more prominent, of course, this is, if you haven't figured it out yet, like a 4th of July Americana thing. So in this icon set, there's going to be things that kind of represent what America is really good at or really known for. Of course, we're known for donuts, man. I could go for a donut right now. I don't know about you guys. I gotta check that. Okay. And next we have like an alternate version of the flag, which is really cool. You could pop that over here. And so now I'm just kind of filling in the space, and it's not like there's no real way of doing this. You could reorganize these things however you want, really. I'm just kind of going through and adding stuff. See, we got more sports stuff over here. This one, I'll get it as close to the top as possible. Oh, Lady Liberty, love her. So I think that's an important one. So I'll make that one a little bit bigger. And then we're just going to drop this guy a little bit. There we go. And then again, you don't want anything to be perfectly vertical, because then when it repeats, the eye will notice. People's eyes, they will notice that seam, and it's just like it's seamless, right? So you want to fool as many people as possible. It has a lot of flags. That's a lot of, okay, here we go. Space shuttle, there we go. I love the shuttle. I love space. So you can see how I'm just casually, like, it's pretty willy-nilly, if we're being totally honest, just casually moving things, and I'm creating a space right here for some other stuff. I think I could squeeze in, have some balloons coming in, and I like that one. There we go. Okay. Turn off those guidelines, and so here's my pattern. So again, the hard part of establishing your corners, x-axis, which is, I'm sorry, y-axis, which is your vertical, x-axis, which is your horizontal, basically top and bottom, left and right. So I have the American flag that I use the offset on to establish my corners. The baseball bat represented my left and right, and then my eagle icon represented my top and bottom. And now it's time to test it. So it's that easy. So really the hard part of this is just establishing your corners and edges. The filling in the inside, that's the easy part. Here's what's really important, especially if you plan on selling your seamless pattern. You have to. If you do not do this step, you are, and I don't want to call names, but you're a little dumb. Okay, we're gonna test it. So file, save as. I'm just gonna save this as, oh, and in the new version, I have to save as a copy in order to save it as a, I'm gonna save it as a JPEG, and I'm gonna call this seamless test 1. We're gonna save it, okay. And then I'm just gonna open up, I'm gonna create a brand new file. First one. That's a decent resolution. And so now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go back, seamless test 1. I'm just gonna drag it in. Okay, and here's how I can tell if it's seamless or not. I'm gonna drag it over, and here's how I do it. You can do it however you want. Now, if you hold the Alt key and you click on, you have to be on your select tool, hold the Alt key, and if you click and drag, you will duplicate. Release the Alt key, and there you go. And all I'm gonna do is, I have my snap on, so it's gonna snap to the corner, but we're gonna zoom in and look at that. No seam. Eh? Then I'm gonna do this. So from the corner, I'm gonna rebuild my American flag, right? And again, holding Alt and just clicking and dragging, release Alt before you get there. There we go. Look at that. That American flag, which was cut up into 4 corners, is now beautiful and complete. And so what I'll do is, I'm gonna hold the Control key, click on these multiple layers, so that way they're all selected over here on the right. I'm gonna right click them and merge layers. Gonna zoom out a little bit, and I'm gonna do it all over again. So I'm gonna show the transform controls, so you can see the edges, right? And I'm gonna do it one more time. And you already saw me do it the slow way, so I'm gonna do it the fast way now. There we go. There we go. We're gonna merge all of these ones together now. Gonna zoom out a little bit, turn on the, oh, there we go. So now look how big this is. So I had one with that one little piece. Now I'm gonna bring it down, fill my page. Let's give it a second to think. Yeah, that's a big transformation. We're gonna zoom in, and now look at this, seamless. So now your eye is naturally gonna pick up, like if you notice the eagles first, you'll be like, okay, I see where the pattern repeats. The eagles are kind of going across. Okay, cool. Oh, I see where the pattern repeats. The American flag, it shows up. So, you can add more and more items, maybe not make things so big, use a smaller one. So, people are naturally going to see it, but I don't see any seams, which is really, really cool. So there we go, a seamless pattern right there using the offset tool in Adobe Photoshop. And I didn't size this perfectly, but it's cool because, you know, especially if you're doing things like sublimation socks or something like that, you want it to kind of just bleed out over the edge without having to worry. Like, you're not going to lose any important icons because each one is repeated like 12 times on this page or 16 times or something like that. So that's how you do it with icons. You could use this for so many things. And if you are an artist and let's say you have a cool little pack of icons or whatever, you draw dogs and you have all the different doggies. Well, put them onto a seamless pattern and sell that. So now not only are you selling your individual icons, you're selling the seamless pattern, which people can use for whatever their applications are. You could put this on t-shirts. You could use this on me personally. I use this mostly on my sublimation stuff. So it just looks cool, man. It looks really cool. And so 4th of July is coming up. So we have this kind of Americana theme going on. But really, you can go to Shutterstock or wherever you get your graphic downloads from, download an icon pack or a graphic pack, and then turn it into your own seamless pattern. You can do whatever you want with it. So it's really cool. We're going to create new, and I'm going to do this on a smaller one. We're going to go pixels. I'm going to do this on 1920 by 1920, which is not that big. And I'm going to do this for web. So 72 resolution. We're going to create. Okay, so now here's something that you guys can do, which is really fun. And this is actually, I made my first seamless pattern in Microsoft Paint. Let's see, I was 16. So that was like 17 years ago. Anyways, so I was 16. I did it in Microsoft Paint the hard way. Didn't have Photoshop, didn't have this really cool tool. So anyways, so let's just say you're doing something themed. Now, this is great to put on a mug. If you put a seamless pattern of family photographs or photographs of friends or whatever the people send you, your customers, put it on a mug. It's killer every time. So I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to show you how, and then you could just put this into you drop this pattern into your mug template, and dude, you're a winner, winner chicken dinner. So we're going to start again. You don't want people to find the corners so easy. So you're going to want to just tilt and like mess with sizing and stuff. And then here's what I do. You don't have to do this, but what I'll do is I will add a, actually double click that. There we go. And I usually add a stroke. I'll just add a white. Oh, I'll add a white stroke. And we're just going to increase the stroke size. I usually put it on the inside. And it's hard to tell. Let's do 5. There we go. So you see how it has a white background. Let's zoom in. I'll put a small stroke. Actually, let's do that. Let's make it 15. There we go. So that it's just an effect. You don't have to do that. And then the other thing that I'll do is I will, rasterize the layer style. So that way the stroke is rendered on there. Okay. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to our offset. I'm just going to set my corners. We're going to do this part really quick because you've already seen how to do it, but I just want you guys to see how cool it looks with photographs. So offset, let's do 700 by 700, right? Nope. Okay. There we go. We got our corners locked in. And then we want this one. This one's we're just going to kind of fill this in here. We're going to add our stroke. I'm going to rasterize the layer style. And now we're going to go back to our filter and we're just going to build out the sides. So zero this out real quick here. And I'm just going to build out the size a little bit. There we go. And so now what you could do is you could just drop in everything. So now you're just going to fill this in again, just wherever, like just go ham. Don't worry about organizing anything just yet. The only thing you might want to consider is just sizing. And so what I'm putting together is I'm putting together a pattern with, let's just pretend these are actually all from Shutterstock. So let's just pretend I have a lot of friends. Okay. And so you're just going to do this, and in the exact same way that we did the pattern, we're just going to fill this with photographs. Now, the only difference is when you're doing this bit, is that you don't want to leave much blank space underneath the photos. So you kind of you need to have a lot more coverage when you're doing it with photos. So if somebody asks you to do this, or you offer your clients to do this, you're gonna want to tell them, hey, send me all the photos you got. Like I'll pick them. And then of course you see on the right, I'm messing with the order, which layer is on top and which one's on bottom, all that stuff. So yes, let's just pretend these are all my friends and family, which some of these people look really cool. So I guess I kind of wish they were my friends and family, you know, but I do have dope friends and family. So I guess I'm covered there. And all I'm doing, I'm just dragging them in one by one. And as the space gets tighter, you know, so again, we're going to start by establishing our corners and our sides. But as space gets tighter, I usually, and this is kind of the only place where it's different, I might save some of the top, like for example, the top and bottom one. I want this one to be like right here, yeah. Like right, oh, I don't want to cover up that other kid. Okay. So like right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in. So I'm going to add my layer style. Oh no, sorry, double click that. I'm just going to add the stroke, rasterize the layer style. Now I'm actually going to bump him up a little bit so he's in front. There we go. And we're going to go back to our offset. And again, so basically the only difference here is, and vertical, we're going to go the other way. There we go. And you want to keep an eye on the other photos that it's covering. And that looks pretty good. So yeah, so there's our offset tool. And so what's really, again, it's really cool. It's a really great way to fill this out. And so now, once I finished this, I could drop it into a mug. I could put it on a t-shirt. Again, any other place that you need a seamless pattern, photographs are great. And then, I mean, it does take a little bit of time, but you guys are watching me now. Like, as long as you have enough photographs to fill it up, dude, you're pretty good. You're on the money, man. And so I want this picture to kind of, and this one can kind of go under, so it doesn't cover the other people, right? So with photos, again, the difference is you're just going to kind of build out your walls a little bit later in the game. So I'm bringing it into the center again. Now, the reason why I'm doing the stroke and rasterizing the layer style first is because if you keep it as a filter, it'll just come out funny. So we're going to set these to 0. And my horizontal, I want this to flow into the next one. But you know, you don't want the kids to get cut off either. So it's important, like when you're doing this, like don't let anybody's faces get covered, because then what's the point of even having them there? And there we go. So you can keep doing this, continue to do this, and then of course all these other layers. I'm gonna show you a cool trick. So we're just gonna add this to 1, and then any other layer that doesn't have it, you hold the Alt key, click on the stroke, and then now I could drag it to the next one. Click on the stroke. Actually, kid with flag, they already have it. But family with grandparents, that's why it is very important to also name your layers, because then you won't know what in the heck you're doing. And you're just gonna add this to any, oh no. Oh, see? So here's the thing. Here's why we rasterize it before we offset. So kids in park, if you add the stroke after it's been split, it's gonna create a border right up the middle, and that's gonna ruin your borderless pattern. So that's why we do the stroke before and rasterize it before we offset it. What else is there? Oh, grandparents, they need 1. Yeah, this is totally optional, by the way. You don't have to add the white stroke, but it does add a certain, when you put it on something, it does add a certain level of, it just looks better in my opinion. It helps you also differentiate which photos which. Anyways, I'm gonna save this one as is because we are running out of time, and I'm gonna save it as a PNG. We're going to call this Seamless Photos. We're going to save it. And I think someone was asking, how do we save it with a transparent background? So now I'm going to create a new file, same size, and we're going to test it again. You always want to test it. Seamless photos, there it is. We're going to drag this in. Check. And we're going to test it the same way. We're going to connect the corners here. Make sure that everything lines up, which it's looking like it is, thank God. Oh, hold on. This one might not be. There it is. Sometimes it doesn't snap to the right part. I think I might have, no, you know what? I think we might have an issue. Okay, so when building out my corner, there's something must have been wrong with the corner. So we're gonna go, oh, there's the issue. You see how my corner piece extends past where it should? Well, an easy way to fix that is, I'm just gonna drag it. So it's gonna distort my image a little bit, but I think it's gonna be passable. So so the corner image, you see how it was extending past the canvas or the workspace? That's why it didn't line up. So now let's try this again. Save a copy as a PNG. Again, this is why it's really important, and we're going to call this Seamless Photos Part 2. Medium file size. So you see how it's, again, very important. I'm just going to delete those. We're going to zoom out, and we're going to go Seamless Photos Part 2. That file is ready. And we're going to test it the same way. And this looks like it's should be aligning perfectly. There we go. No. Oh, that is so weird. So what I'm probably going to want to do is, there it is. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to merge these layers. I'm going to zoom out, and we're going to, now these pictures, you don't want to make them too small on whatever you're doing. So now with the background, you could fill it in the background, whatever color you want. So we have a red, white, and blue background. So we could fill in the background with a gradient, and now you see all these photos are over, and we could zoom in, they still look good. Now, I'm not a big fan of all the empty space in the background, so honestly, I'd probably fill this up even more. But this pattern, this seamless pattern, I could repeat it again, and it depends on how much space you want to pick up. Now, if you are in the banner making business, there's these things called step and repeats. You know how the Hollywood people, they have they take pictures in front of it, has all the different logos and stuff. Well, you know, what's really cool is taking pictures in front of a bunch of pictures. If you're at a special event or something like that, look at this. So this would go great on a banner at a special event, especially for nonprofits. I personally do a lot of work with nonprofits and stuff. So yeah, something like this is, and then the background, you could leave it transparent, you could leave it white. So what we could do is, if you wanted it black, you have a black background. You could put it really over whatever you want, but there's your seamless photo pattern right there, folks. You guys saw it here, heatpressnation.com. Well, thank you again so much for joining me for today's MyExpert Live Training Webinar. I hope you have fun creating all the seamless patterns you could possibly think of. Tag us, use the hashtag HPN Creators, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is that you're using. I hope you guys have an absolute blast with this. I know I did. I continue to have fun creating seamless patterns, and it's just something really good to have in your bag of tricks as a creator, as a designer, as somebody who's offering items to your customer base. So I hope you have a blast. If you have any questions, you can hit us up, support@heatpressnation.com, or even if you're watching the replay, you can comment below. Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching this, feel free to leave us a comment. Of course, you can watch the replays of all of our webinars at heat.press/webinar replay. That's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great, fantastic weekend. We'll see you around.